Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you again so much for our time together. Tonight, we're starting back up in the manifestations of the power of the Holy Spirit and moving of the Holy Spirit and the operation of the gifts of the Spirit. We're going to have a great time tonight and all weekend back into the book of Acts 19, the riots and revival. It'll be a fun study. But right now, I want to look at just one thought with you. One thought. Luke 11, verse 42. Jesus says, "Woe to you, Pharisees, because you give God a tithe of your mint, rue, and all kinds of garden herbs." In other words, you tithe you are hyper tithers. You tithe the smallest thing. You're very detailed in your tithing. But you neglect justice and the love of God. He said you should have practiced the latter, justice and the love of God, without leaving the former undone. Without leaving the former undone. I hear so many Christians today that are anti-tithing. And they don't even understand what they're saying. You wonder, do they just love money? But straight talk, brothers and sisters, Jesus did teach tithing. I mean, he says, without leaving the former undone. Tithing was a normal part of life in that day. It was just normally expected that this is what a Jew did. This is just what God's people did. He said, without leaving the former undone. He said, it's great. Be a very detailed tither, but don't neglect love, the love of God, and don't neglect justice. Now, brothers and sisters, I can teach you biblically why we tithe today. I can answer your questions, but I cannot answer your attitudes. And there are many people today who just don't want to tithe because it's an attitude. It goes all the way back to the book of Malachi. People don't tithe because they no longer honor God. They no longer see God as first. They no longer honor the Father as Father in life. And so they rob the tithe and the offerings from Him. Now, if you're one of these people who's anti-tithing, can I just make a suggestion to you? Can I just ask you, sit down and take a look at that verse, and then ask yourself the question, now wait a minute, I've told everybody that tithing is not taught in the New Testament, and obviously tithing is taught in the New Testament. And I can show you a lot of other places, but I'm just dealing with this one today. And maybe you just need to go sit down and say, all right, Father, am I just looking for an excuse because I don't want to tithe? Am I just looking to justify my words because I've said so much now I don't want to admit that I'm wrong? Father, have I really dishonored you as my Father? Because forgive me, if 10% is what it takes to show that I honor the Father, that I put God first in my life, then you know what? I don't care about 10%. I love the Father.